go back to 2019 when the world wasn't a mess. I just had completed the very last level in Celeste, being Chapter 8, Seaside. As I sat back in my chair, I looked at the victory screen, and I felt happy, but kinda sad. It's a bittersweet feeling. I had beaten everything the game threw at me, but that also meant there was nothing else to complete. I had beaten Celeste. Oh, son of a Matt Thorson, you did it again. You made yet another masterpiece that I will now have to complete for the sake of my bad completion habits. Jesus Christ, I think I might need a therapist. Hi, mine is Matt. I play games and I own too many copies of Celeste. Chapter 9, also known as Farewell, is free DLC for Celeste. You mean I can gush over Celeste even more? It introduces an entirely new chapter with 100 plus new levels, new game mechanics, a new story, and a new way to lose your sanity over a video game. You know, classic DLC stuff. Sadly, this doesn't add cute cat girls to the game. This game blows! Farewell begins somewhere after the events of the original campaign. It's unclear when it happens exactly, but we'll learn more about it later on. We take a couple of steps. Oh hey Granny, oh what the fuck? Yeah, Granny's fucking deceased. She has been for quite a while now. Madeline's just visiting her grave. Then Madeline checks up on us, calls us a cuck, and then a blue bird comes to visit. That's that damn bird! Everyone said as they immediately try to catch it. Madeline somehow comes to the conclusion that the bird is part of Granny, like Madeline is part of herself. Thinking that catching the bird could maybe bring back Granny, somehow, she chases it. Madeline, acting like the voice of reason, tells Madeline this is a stupid idea. Madeline kindly answers by telling her to fuck off. This introduction is the only bit of story we get for a while. It feels off and random, and Madeline's clearly not okay. She has that determination you see during the entire game, but even she's doubting herself. Look, I swear that bird has something to do with Hitler, alright? I just have to prove it. As we begin our chase to catch the blue bird, we enter the first level of the game. They hit like a truck. If the last Seaside was here, Farewell is up there. This is the average from now on. Actually, we have breaking news. It's called breaking news because the chapter has broken my sanity in my kneecaps. Farewell is brutal. It's by far the hardest chapter in the entire game. I've died more than 4,000 times on my first playthrough of Chapter 9, and by now, I had completed every other challenge the game had thrown at me. Strawberries, Crystal Hearts, B-Side, Seaside, you name it, I did it. But Farewell still slapped me pretty hard. Hell, it took me around an entire month to complete it because it was just so damn hard, alright? The levels don't pull their punches anymore, and it shows. I wouldn't recommend Farewell to anyone who doesn't know what they're getting into. Who do you think I am? Even Satan cared about justice and stuff. Any screen can take up from 30 minutes to an hour, so expect a lot of... When you do complete a screen, it doesn't feel like weight has been lifted since, you know, the next screen is gonna be way worse. On a metaphorical sense, this isn't even represented by the area you traverse. It's way up in the sky. From here, the mountain can barely be seen anymore. In the original game, the higher you got meant the harder it got. I'm beginning to think this was a bad idea. It's even reflected in the music. The music is somber, unsure, quite far from something we'd call brave. This insecurity is especially shown by the leitmotif, which often pops up. Farewell is brutal, and it clearly knows it. Although we're led to believe that Madeline is confident in all of this, we know that's not true. We're experiencing the same thing as her, and you definitely aren't feeling confident right now. Actually, most of your deaths will be caused by you not being confident in your own jumps. Farewell really makes you feel like Madeline. The atmosphere changes. The background's lighter, the music's happier, the screens are less claustrophobic. You're closer to the end, you know it. Except that lame motif from earlier plays again. Something just doesn't feel right here, and you can't put your finger on it. At this point, you've been playing for an hour or so, maybe more. That's more than the length of a regular chapter. Everything seems like it's coming to a close, but you don't feel like this should be happening. Madeline denying the ending just felt like the right choice to me. Without realizing it, I wanted to keep playing, even if the chapter was hard. Now, was that because of my psychotic tendencies? I don't know. I'll have to get back on you in that one. Then the game stops you here. You need 15 heart to progress. I've heard complaints about this. People getting to this point and being mad that you can't progress. Thing is, you can actually skip this wall if you know how to. Here's me doing it right there. This is only possible if you know Madeline's moveset very well. I'm talking speedrunner's amount of knowledge, because beyond the wall, you'll need it. So if you haven't collected the 15 crystal hearts yet, go get them, because you won't be able to do this without the skills required to get those hearts. The game is giving you mercy. Be thankful. Beyond the wall lies something that'll change the way you play, forever. Alive? Jesus Christ, John, that joke was declared dead 5 Jesuses ago, alright? When you get to this part of the chapter, you learn how to wave dash. Wave dashing consists of abusing the game's engine to do what's basically a double dash. First you jump, then dash diagonally towards the ground. Since dashing this way doesn't reset your momentum, jumping again right away will let you go extremely far. And since you technically touch the ground, you get your dash back. Although this is quite hard to pull off because it requires almost frame-perfect inputs. I have no idea if this was an oversight by the devs originally, but wave dashing isn't new. Wave dashing was actually used in speedrunning back when Farewell wasn't out. I think it's cool to see the devs use text from the speedrunning community and using it in the main game. Also, the way the game teaches you how to do wave dashing is hilarious. It's a fucking PowerPoint presentation and I love it. From here on out, wave dashing is the main move you'll be using to complete screens. So you better learn how to use it now because you'll regret it much further on if you don't. Forgot to mention, the game also gets way harder now, so if you didn't get used to the difficulty earlier, boy do I have bad news. I think I lost my ability to use my fingers 7 screens ago. Okay, so right after that, using wave dashing, you get a shot at catching the bird. You're getting now, I'm getting you now, I'm catching you, you ain't getting and it fails miserably. Madeline starts to question herself for a second, but still denies Granny's death. And it's at that moment you realize Madeline's going through the stages of grief. She denies Granny's death, she gets angry at Madeline when she tells her let go, and she tries to bring back Granny, bargaining for her to come back. Madeline is stuck in these 3 stages, and she's going back and forth in each of them. And because of that, she doesn't allow herself to get sad for a second. Thing is, Madeline knows she can't bring back Granny, but she can't bring herself to accept it. At this point, the whole world around her starts to crumble. This reflects Madeline's mental state. She's cracking under the pressure. She can't keep it up anymore. But she still lies to herself, represented by the music, which gets more and more courageous, while still having that lame motif playing in the background. Madeline comes up again, and we try to tell her to fuck off again, but this time, Madeline cracks. Everything changes now. There's barely any music or blocks to grab onto. Everything slows down since you have to time your jumps. Madeline finally realizes that she can't bring Granny back. Oh, also we're in a dream, not because that wasn't obvious yet. We're chasing a bird in space trying to bring back a dead grandma, right? And one final time, the voice of reason, Madeline, comes to knock some sense into us. It's time to wake up, but first Madeline decides she needs to completely yeet her bad vibes away. Did I just say yeet? And to do that, she has to free the bird. So with the help of Madeline, you start finishing screens as fast as... The difficulty gets way more easy now. You're not slowing down like you were earlier. Now we're going extremely fast. We're making it out of here. But that doesn't mean we're done yet. There's still one last room to complete. And this is the hardest room in the game. I've had nightmares with more empathy than this room. I'm not kidding. Farewell's last screen is hell incarnated. It's 2 minutes straight of platforming, which doesn't sound bad on its own, but any single mistake you make will kill you. First time around, this last screen took me more than 2 hours. It really is the ultimate challenge. But the game knows that. What I like about Celeste is that it doesn't taunt you. It understands that it's hard and that you might not be able to do it on your first try. I'm telling you this because after a while, if you die a lot of times, Madeline comes to check up on you to see if you're alright. She's not talking to Madeline here, she's talking to the player. It's basically the game cheering you on, saying, you can do it, one last time. When you're done with the last screen, your reward is meeting up with Granny, one last time. She's not real, but that really isn't the point. The point is that you finally get to say goodbye to her. After that, she pulls off a, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good, and then disappears into thin air. Bye-bye, Granny. Madeline finally wakes up afterward, and we get to help with Theo a little more before the chapter ends. Everything here is just some final fan service before the game ends. We also get this picture with Granny and Theo's grandfather when they were way younger, which makes me think that the girl we play in the original Pick Your Weight game was actually Granny the entire time. The girl even gets green hair when she gets a double dash, much like Granny's green color palette. Just something to think about. Sucks that we didn't get to see Theo a lot during this final chapter, but the little cameo at the end still is nice. Now you've been hearing me talk about the difficulty for a while now, and you might think to yourself, didn't he enjoy the chapter? That couldn't be further from the truth, actually. I love the challenge. Farewell is actually a love letter to the community, and the difficulty is part of that love letter. Farewell is meant to be the last chapter in the game, after all the B and C sides, so it being the hardest chapter is to be expected. Celeste's meaning was to overcome the challenges of life, no matter how hard it was. And Farewell still preserves that meaning, putting the player in a harder setting. Anyone can complete Farewell. Some will need some more time than others, but anyone can do it if they put their mind to it. Just like life, no challenge is impossible. Sure, it might take time, and you might need a little bit of help, but you'll get there eventually. It's also the last thing we'll ever get from Celeste from what I understand. Matmake Games has said that they don't plan on doing a Celeste 2.
Son of a bitch!
And I think the reason they made Farewell was to say thanks to the community. I don't think it's a coincidence that the last chapter we'll ever get in Celeste is called Farewell. And the fact that it's all about learning how to say goodbye and letting go. Much like what happens in the story, we don't want to accept the fact that we won't get anything else out of Celeste. We go through a playable form of that feeling. It's hard to let go, but once you do, you can start thinking about the good times you've had. I know I'm making a big deal out of this. Of course, Celeste not getting any more content isn't as dramatic as someone dying, but it still really stinks to know that I won't ever experience anything like Celeste ever again. Farewell is an amazing DLC campaign. It takes everything I loved from Celeste and puts it in this huge marathon filled with incredible music from Lena Raine and amazing level design from the team at Matmake Games. It's definitely up there with the original campaign. Farewell is free and is accessible at the end of Chapter 8, so try it out if you feel like you're up to the task. As for me, I've completed everything Celeste has to offer, and I truly believe it'll stay one of my favorite games from now on, even if I won't get anything else out of it. Thank you to everyone who worked on this game and its DLC. I truly mean it. You guys are goddamn legends. Hey, I know that this part might seem a bit off from a typical review, but I just want to say a few things to those who want to attempt Farewell. I won't sugarcoat it. Farewell is tough. Only 6% of all Steam players have completed Farewell, which is saying quite a lot. But I do believe that if you put your mind to it, you can pull it off. And don't feel afraid to use assist mode. No one will judge you if you use it. The fact that you made it this far in the game is something you should be proud of, and if you can't complete Farewell, that's fine too. If you need help, the Celeste community is very welcoming, and they give good tips on how to complete certain parts of Farewell. Just remember to take breaks once in a while and have fun with it. Hey there, it's Matt without a script. I hope you didn't mind that this was another Celeste video. I swear this is the last Celeste video I'm doing, alright? I know some of you are annoyed by that. It's just that it's kind of my favorite game ever, and I wanted to do this review for a while, but see, the thing is, Farewell took me a month to complete, and for my first time around, I was like so relieved that I completed it that I completely forgot about my review, and like recently I started working on it, so yeah. I hope you enjoyed this video. Next video we're probably doing Waifu Reviewers 2, and I maybe will have guests. Maybe, probably, definitely. I think so. Yeah, I don't know. That was Matt. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye bye.